Welcome to your weekly reading. So before I dive in, I just want to quickly say these are general, may or may not resonate. There's no time limit on them, and always, 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 even if what I'm saying resonates, please use your own discernment. Do not just take these readings as fact, okay? So let's get started without further ado for all the Leos out there. Okay, I normally wouldn't. Okay, that's too many cards, sorry. Can I get one card? Okay, oyster, cool. So definitely something's coming up this week. Something's coming out. Let's see what the person, place, or thing you're dealing with. Starfish, oh my god, that is really good. That mirrors each other very nicely. So I think for you, Leo, it's like there's been something that you've really been, I want to say going through, but also it's more so processing, with the oyster card, the way it's sort of shining, from the inside out, but we can't see what's on the inside, but there's sort of, hints around it. So I think what's been happening is you've been keeping something really, really, I guess, difficult is what it kind of feels like under. It just feels very, you know, when we're processing something emotionally, it is sort of like an oyster and a pearl. Because every single emotional experience, if we look at it through the lens of sort of, a bystander, if you can kind of give yourself that detachment from the actual emotions of it, then there's a lot to be learned, every time we're triggered emotionally or something happens to us that causes us to sort of, what's the right word? I guess act out of character, I guess that's what emotional triggers do. So I think whatever you've been processing, you're getting very close to the pearl stage, when an oyster, all the sand in an oyster gets spat out. And eventually, through that process, a beautiful pearl is formed, right? So I think you're really starting to understand the lesson here, if that makes sense. Whatever lesson you've been through, either recently or for the past while, it seems like it's finally coming to an end. You're finally like, oh, okay, so this is why that happened. So this is the lesson in that. And it's really nice because what you're dealing with or what you're heading towards kind of is starfish. So person, place, or thing, I always say that. It seems like this thing is just very welcoming, if it's a new job, a new location, if it's a new, career choice, you might be, switching friend groups. There's so many things a starfish can be, but I'm really sensing this week that it's just, it's very open. It's sort of like opened all its arms up, it's I guess it's in like a receiving state. So I think the only thing that's sort of, I guess, off with these two energies is the fact that they're open and you're still closed up, right? So if this is, a new opportunity, you still haven't fully opened yourself to it. And I don't think it's nothing to do with them, it's just you're not ready to open up yet. The pearl hasn't fully been formed, you know what I mean? It's close, but like not quite. So let me see where this is heading. Okay, hyena, interesting. Um, it seems like, okay. Bat on the bottom and spider. Okay, you guys got 5. Yeah, it seems like this isn't really surprising to you, is what I'm hearing. It's like, yeah, like, I kind of feel that. But I think what's even more surprising is I did not expect hyena to come out. And I think the reason it surprised me so much is because it does feel like you're at the end of, as I said, like a certain emotional process. But there's still other things that are going to be rearing its head, if that makes sense. With the hyena card, it really talks about unhealthy addictions, attachments, codependency. So a part of that is also incorporating the shadow. If you're looking for some stuff to read, Carl Jung is a phenomenal psychologist, and he produced a lot of work talking about the human shadow and how to incorporate the shadow. Because that's something a lot of people, and I feel like people in the tarot community and like spiritual community, they don't really talk about as much. A lot of people just focus on like the love and the light, and like that's great, and I love that part of life, but there is also the shadow element. There is also, you know, humans were so self-destructive, and it's one of the most confusing things ever, you know? It's like, why do we self-destruct? It's just it's a human phenomenon that makes no sense. And having the back card, you know, to sort of weight this down, it seems like a lot of things are coming to light, you know? Even the imagery here, going from a full moon that looks very like bright, you know, there's a little bit of darkness, but it's mostly surrounded by light, to sort of the half moon, right? Half dark, half light. So I think what you're going through right now, Leo, is an incorporation of the shadow, right? You could still be in like one of those dark night of the soul journeys, and you're heading towards starfish, right? So you're heading towards something very good, right? It's just right now, you know, you're still wrapping things up, you're still tying loose ends, um, you're still closed off, and I actually think that's the right decision right now. I think that, um, you know, the root of evil is unripe. So if if you're not ready, then there's no point in doing something, you know? Because I mean, to be fair, there's a quote where it's like, when will you ever really be ready, which is like fair. But there are certain situations when we know like a little bit more time is necessary for us to be fully prepared. So with Spider in the center, I think this is something that's going to play out throughout your life, you know? The themes that are coming up right now, uh, I am getting Mars retrograde, so you might want to think about 2018 fall. So from August to, I guess, mid-November, I want to say. I think that was the last Mars retrograde. The same themes and topics are going to be coming up again, and it's sort of for us to revisit. And for you, I do think it has something to do with, I am getting like a very dark shadow or a dark past that you sort of hold. Um, and it's funny because there's so much moonlight. So everything is sort of done in the dark, if that makes sense. Like, there's a lot of people don't see this side of you, or I guess, the weight to your past, if that makes sense. A lot of people don't know about the darkness that sort of lingers within you and just lingers, you know, it's from your past, so of course it lingers, until we cut it off. And I think that's what you're working through right now. It's just transmuting the past and not letting it, you know, hold you down and keep you permanently closed up. And with Spider, you know, because it does talk about a web, right? A bigger network. So what's happening right now, it may seem, you know, it kind of feels like your whole world is collapsing in a weird way. As I said, you've been going through this like purification process, and you're like almost learning the lesson, but sometimes the healing is more painful than the actual, you know, pain in the first place, right? We often like endure trauma, and when it happens, the human mind does this crazy thing where it represses it and sort of keeps it down because it doesn't know how to process it. And I think that's what you've been going through. You've been processing your trauma, as I said with Oyster, and it's like the more stuff that comes out, I am hearing it's like shocking you even. You're like, I didn't even know I was holding on to all of this, but there it is. You know, you can only run from yourself for so long. And I'm gonna finish up this reading, but the hyena card is really just like glaring at me. So I wonder if anger has been coming up, because the hyena card is, for me at least, a very, you know, angry card where it sort of uses humor to, I guess, bypass the severity of the anger. And anger is always just like sadness or hurt covered up, you know? We never get angry just to get angry. Like, no, it's always hurt or something. There's something, you know, beneath it. And I think that for you at least, it might just be surprising you. You're like, I didn't know I could get that angry. I didn't know I could, you know, think this dark. I didn't know my shadow was that, you know, predominant. Because something Carl Jung talks about is how the shadow manifests itself in the 3D, and how, you know, we keep running from that shadow, we keep running from that unconscious place, but it ends up manifesting in our consciousness field, you know? For example, if you think about when you got yourself into some of the most toxic situations, think about what you were thinking beforehand, you know? Where was your mind state at? Where were you in life before you sort of made a decision that took you down the wrong path? Because normally life just repeats itself, you know? The faces change, the people change, the situation, circumstance might slightly alter, but the core lesson is still the same, you know? So, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't really have a lot of advice for you this week. I just feel, I feel like this is just something you're gonna have to work through, you know? Moving through the discomfort, perhaps this week, and I think seeing things from a bystander's point of view is going to be your best bet, honestly. Because there's just a lot of emotional stuff right now, and with that spider web, it's like there's so many different feelings, emotions, so many different, I guess, ways of seeing the situation. It's almost overwhelming. Even as the reader, I'm feeling very overwhelmed. It's like, you know, you've gone through almost every possible outcome, but you've been in it. So perhaps look at the situation just completely, I mean, you're a Leo, so it might be a little difficult, but detach yourself emotionally from the situation and try to see it as if you were just some random person watching it unfold. You know, how would you, if you weren't you, how would you explain your situation to someone else, if that makes sense? And yeah, I think that's about it. I hope you guys have a really good week. I can definitely see you guys sorting this stuff out because you have starfish. So starfish wouldn't come up if you guys weren't gonna sort it out. And it's nice because whatever this person, place, opportunity, whatever this is for you, it's ready to welcome you with open arms. You know what I mean? It's ready to sort of be like, yes, like this is your place, or this is for you, you know? It's like a reward. You go through all this and then you get a reward at the end of the tunnel. So, yay. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a really good week. Bye.